Newsroom, Gene Higginson, ABC 30 Action News.
I hope it was a big blast.
Yeah, that little girl's very well spoken, isn't she?
Tell you what, she's going to be a great businesswoman.
California cops shut down 7-year-old girl's lemonade stand. You know, what I should try and do each week is not tell you which of our clips is from The Onion. And see if we could all figure out which one it is. Because there is an Onion clip in this week's episode. Was that it? In all seriousness, my friends, as we move into the final half hour of this episode 172 of MediaMonarchy.com, posted last Saturday, May 22nd, from the old gray lady, the New York Times, Obama Bush retains the right to detain people with no habeas review. Or as the New York Times puts it, court denies habeas corpus rights. A federal appeals court ruled last Friday, May 21st, that 3 men who had been detained by the U.S. military for years without trial in Afghanistan had no recourse to American courts. The decision was a broad victory for the Obama administration in its efforts to hold terrorism suspects overseas for indefinite periods without judicial oversight. The detainees, 2 Yemenis and a Tunisian who say they were captured outside Afghanistan, contend they are not terrorists and are being mistakenly imprisoned at the American military prison at Bagram Air Base. But a 3-judge panel of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Criminals ruled unanimously that the 3 had no right to habeas corpus hearings in which judges would review evidence against them and could order their release. The court reasoned that Bagram was on the sovereign territory of another government and emphasized the pragmatic obstacles of giving hearings to detainees in an active theater of war. The ruling dealt a severe blow to wider efforts by lawyers to extend a landmark 2008 Supreme Court ruling granting habeas corpus rights to prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. A lower court judge had previously ruled that the 3 Bagram detainees were entitled to the same rights, although he had found that others captured in Afghanistan and were held there were not. A lawyer for the detainees, Tina Foster, said that if the precedent stood, Obama and future presidents would have a free hand to, quote, kidnap people from other parts of the world and lock them away for the rest of their lives, end quote, without having to prove in court that they're suspicious about such prisoners were accurate, that their suspicions were accurate. It's hard to speak clearly when you're reading garbage. Again, a lot of our fundamental rights as humans on paper are being destroyed. Glenn Greenwald does a great job. Obama wins the right to detain people with no habeas review on his blog over on Salon. And there's more in here for you to read about Bagram Air Base on historycommons.org, and you can download the PDF ruling. But what this leads us into are all the other obamessiah updates. And the way we're going to start it off is an article from theaustralian.com.au. Barack Obama's New World Order. Barack Obama wants to shape a new international order in which the U.S. cooperates with other nations and seeks long-term support by promoting its democratic values. The U.S. President's last weekend speech Saturday, May 22nd, to cadets at the West Point Military Academy was practically a trial run for the national security policy that the obamessiah announced this week.
So we have to shape an international order that can meet the challenges of our generation. We will be steadfast in strengthening those old alliances that have served us so well, including those who will serve by your side in Afghanistan and around the globe. As influence extends to more countries and capitals, we also have to build new partnerships and shape stronger international standards and institutions. This engagement is not an end in itself. The international order we seek is one that can resolve the challenges of our times, countering violent extremism and insurgency, stopping the spread of nuclear weapons and securing nuclear materials, combating a changing climate and sustaining global growth, helping countries feed themselves and care for their sick, preventing conflict, and healing wounds. If we are successful in these tasks, that will lessen conflicts around the world. It will be supportive of our efforts by our military to secure our country.
Oh, I guess so. Barry Soetoro is done talking there. So that was the big speech. That was the big speech to West Point. And we heard the repetitions of international order. But let's get through the rest of the Obama-Messiah updates. At West Point, Obama talks up national security strategy, which we've already gone over. More on that from the Washington Post. Obama gives commanders wide berth for secret warfare. That is from The Atlantic. Again, tying in with the new plans and their major operational plans. More secret warfare. The Washington Post again notes Obama's national security strategy looks beyond military might. Meanwhile, the redesigned website of the on-the-chopping-block bankrupt Mooney-run WashingtonTimes.com, senators say Obama administration keeps Congress in the dark on intel. That doesn't sound like any change at all. Senate takes up emergency war bill despite Obama pledge to end practice. Again, we'll always have 5 days to look at any legislation because we're so open and transparent. So, allgov.com breaks it down. Obama asks for $59 billion in extra spending for disaster relief, Haiti, Agent Orange disabilities, and war. And of course, we noted Dennis Blair fell on his sword over intelligence failures. More on that. More, and actually the full speech of Obama's international order speech at West Point. But from Breitbart as well as the AFP, Obama administration backs Vatican's claim of immunity to sexual abuse lawsuits. The Obama administration, in a brief to the Supreme Court, has backed the Vatican's claim of immunity from lawsuits arising from cases of sexual abuse by priests in the U.S. The Supreme Court is considering an appeal by the Vatican of an appellate court ruling that lifted its immunity in the case of an alleged pedophile priest from Oregon. Oregon also being the scene of the latest battle over pedophile Boy Scout perversion files. We briefly covered that story in the last couple of weeks. National Guard to help secure southwest border. That's from the New York Times. The Salahis caught near the White House again. Those ridiculous tabloid reality TV garbage went by the White House again for the latest state meeting. BioPrep Watch found that important enough to post on their site. And of course, all the other change we can't believe in. Obama refuses to release list of pardon requests. That's right, pardons coming soon. Secret Service investigating Obama effigy burned at a bar. That's from Raw Story. And again, the propaganda alert, conspiracy theories and misinformation from America.gov. And the last couple notes surrounding the District of Criminals. Rand Paul strikes back at mainstream media smear machine. And again, we've noted, not with much excitement about Rand Paul, he essentially believes in the war of terror he's been able to successfully use his father's good name to get as far as he has. But again, we're... nah. And the last note, with a video from Raw Replay, Rand Paul says Dem talking points trashed him. And again, it all still plays within the phony left-right scheme. Even though this is coming from the Tea Party, which again, as we've gone over time after time, month after month, it's a grassroots movement that started essentially from Ron Paul, libertarian, anti-Federal Reserve, pro-personal liberty, and it's gotten hijacked and absorbed and misdirected and neutered into the mainline GOP establishment.